afternoon, good evening. How is everybody? Welcome to another episode of Roll Around, Find Out. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about hackable RPGs. Games that, for one reason or another, have gathered a cult following of sorts, and players of it, fans of it, have really gone to the races and created tons and tons of content for them. But before we do that, just a little update. I like to talk about my D&D school clubs, and just temporarily, just 3 little sessions, we are running something. Me and a friend of mine are running something at the elementary level, and we only offered it to 3rd grade and 4th grade, and we had, I think, 12 kids sign up, which was pretty amazing, I thought. Enough to run 2 tables, and that's a perfect number. And the person who's running it, she really doesn't know anything about D&D, but her son does. And he's kind of sort of teaming up with her. She's a fellow teacher and a friend. And she's teaming up with her 4th grade son, who's carrying the heavy load of DMing. And probably like me, he would probably rather run a story just from his own imagination, but I gotta start somewhere, right? And I think there is value, especially first-time DMs, at running a pre-made adventure. You kind of get the ebb and the flow of it, and all of the text boxes that say, hey, read this, or paragraphs that say, hey, players should be able to have a DC 10 perception roll, and then they hear something. And so we went with here on December 4th. I don't know when it was actually released, but we were running Peril in Pinebrook, and it says it's a 60 to 90 minute adventure. And I would say for my group, we're probably going to be at about 100 minutes, I would say, because it's about, after you get started, get kids settled down and, packed up to leave at the end, we're about 50 minutes of actual gaming time. And so that will be 2 sessions, and then I think the last session will give 1 kid at each table a chance at being the GM or the DM. And so if you didn't know that this existed, Peril in Pinebrook, definitely worth checking out. I think the premise, if I were to read this article from D&D Beyond here, it's like, hey, you got family coming over for Thanksgiving, you got family coming over for Christmas, whatever holiday, and you're looking for something to do. Hey, Heath, you play that game called Dungeons and Dragons. What's that all about? And you can just whip this out. It's got a modified character sheet, much simpler. It only uses D20s and D6s. Again, it's very beginner friendly, and that's why we're going with this for the elementary group. And again, if you didn't know it existed, check it out. It's 100% free, and for that reason alone, it's worth grabbing. I could give you the little synopsis of it. You find a baby silver dragon, and you bring it back to its mom. And then there's adventures along the way, right? Okay, so that is the pre-topic. Just giving you an update on Peril in Pinebrook and how you should check it out. Okay, so the other day, I was inspired to, make another game and get 10 people to download it. And I think I closed out of that, actually. Let me go back to my drive-through library. And this game kind of inspired me to check out these are same but different by Zardak the Dave. Oops, I want to go back and download. And I haven't really explored the step dice mechanic, which is roll a d4 if you're not very skilled, roll a d6 if you're leveled up, d8 you're leveling up stronger, d10 you're pretty proficient, d12 you are essentially a professional at whatever you're trying to do. And this veil here is on a spy espionage genre. This is the Agent Dossier. And I was reading this, and here's the only thing that you need to know. Here's the mechanic. Deploy a D4. Oh, that's a lie. Here we go. This is what you need to know. Target is always 10. You gotta always try and beat a 10. Roll your D trait, which, terrible name if you ask me. The game is called Dice Skies, which, that's a 10 out of 10. But it's kind of rolling with the step dice and the D6, D8, and for me it doesn't land. But okay. The mechanic is roll a D trait and a D div. Come on, really? D div, bro? And then a D skill if available. Use D trait plus D div or the skill result. Okay? So I like the premise of this. Let me download this other one. This one is like a Warp Fleet. It's more sci-fi. And I kind of like this layout a little better, but the mechanic is basically the same thing. Red alert, D trait plus D trait plus D skill if available. Use D trait plus, it's the exact same thing, trying to beat 10. What's cool about this is they have shield locations and your ship damage, which is cool. Okay, but I was kind of like, all right, here are your traits or your stats. Totally get that. Charisma, intelligence, dexterity, strength, perfect. And then these D trades, Marines, totally understand. Science, I think I got it. You're the scientist of the group. Okay. Command, a little less vague. Operations, about the same, little less vague. All right. So then you come down here and you're like, oh, okay. Here are the skills in command. Your administration, diplomacy, navigation, evasion, and I love that they give you blank spots here. So cool. More games need to do that. All right, science. All right, science skills here. Sensors, medical, physical science, social science. Social science, I'm like, that's kind of like command, maybe. Operations. Okay, I need to go over all these. But I kind of didn't really understand, like, okay, I got to roll D trait and D trade, right? D trait and D trade. Okay, so a D4, a D6, a D8, or a D10. And I guess those are like your base stats. But then down here, this is where you level up. And you either roll 2 of these or you roll 1 of these. And I thought, like, what? Like, okay, I could have a D10 and a D12. But the max I can only get here is a D12 if you level up. Like, that's, why would I ever roll these when I always have these that are probably going to be higher? Okay, tangent. The main takeaway is I was like, you know what? I'm going to take this and I'm going to do better. I'm going to contact this guy and I'm going to say, hey, listen. What was it? Zach? What was the Zardak? The Dave? Listen here, Dave. I'm going to make your game way better. And then, of course, stewing on it, half hour, supposed to be at work working. I'm obsessed with how I can make this better. And at the end of the day, I just gave up. It's like, well, I don't know how to fix this. And then I thought, okay, I do like the step dice. That's pretty cool. Like, all right, you just start out and you're at a D4. Okay, and then you level up and you go to a D6. I upgrade to the next dice. That's pretty awesome. You not only like are rolling higher results, but the physical change of different dice, I think, is pretty cool. In D&D, if you have, a short sword, long sword, whatever it is, a D6, a D8, I don't know, I'm not a professional, but I don't think you really ever change that dice very often. Maybe you get a new weapon. In my experience, that's not super common. And if anything, it's like a +1 or a +2, +3 if you're lucky, but you're still rolling the same dice. So I thought, that's a bummer. Boo, bummer. Didn't really like that. So then I was thinking step dice, that's cool. But like if you have a D4, how can you ever succeed, like in here, how can you ever succeed if the target is 10? Okay, D6, how do you ever succeed if it's a 10? All right, if we're rolling 2 of these, all right, at minimum, D6, D4, statistically, very unlikely you're going to roll a 6 and a 4. All right? And, I mean, this was the intriguing part. Like, okay, a D8 and a D6. All right, well, that's up to 14. I don't know what the percentages are, but, all right, now we're getting into territory, A D10 and a D8? Yeah, okay, 18. Yeah, I like that. A D12 and a D10? Sure, okay, but then you're a scientist using your dexterity? You are a marine rolling your charisma? I guess this is kind of like these are your classes and these are your stats, and that I get. But then these skills here was again you can roll up to a D12 and a D10, but here you're limited, you're capped. So yeah, all right. But the big takeaway, I was excited to try something new. Got the little flash in the pan. Okay, what is out there that you haven't created yet? And I'll tell you, I just keep going back to my episode on Omega Fantasy 2. And I almost forgot this. In going over this, it's hard for me to believe that I'm saying this, because so many episodes have been on this topic, but I was like, you know what? I don't really care about the dice mechanic. It's, at the end of the day, it's really not that big of a deal. If you're rolling a D20, 2 D10s, 3 D6s, it's like, I was like, this is not good. I've been trying to find the best dice mechanic out there. And then I thought, you know what? That Omega Fantasy, like, yeah, there's dice elements to it. I think it's a D6 system, but I was just like, the weapon does something, your class gives you an ability, you rank up, and something else gives you an ability. Like, yeah, you're just always doing cool stuff. You're not just, rolled, failed, next, which I'm sure does happen. In any system, you've got that, obviously, ability or chance to fail. So then I was going through, like, okay, well, I don't really know what I'm searching for anymore. Got kind of depressed. All right, that's a stretch. But I'm just okay. What theme out there am I going for? Like, my my business card role-playing game, that's an ode to Dragon Warrior. Great. I've already got my Final Fantasy VII, tweaking that. Covert Ops is my go-to. It's like Bare Bones Fantasy. Bare Bones Fantasy is probably my go-to fantasy. That was just great. I'm kind of in a funk. But then, still in a funk. But going through my stuff, I was like, you know what? Lasers and Feelings. This is a game that when I first discovered it 2 years ago, maybe, I was like, okay, this isn't really for me, but this is pretty freaking cool. It's an entire game, and it's an entire character sheet and GM's guide on one page. Something, when looking this over, the game format is open for hacking and remixing by a Creative Commons, I don't know what BY stands for, license. Okay? Make your own hack and share or sell it as you like. And that's where I thought, yep, here's my next interested topic. Not interesting, but what I'm interested in checking out. What games out there are prime for hacking? Then I remembered, oh yeah, I did that with Knave. And I made it a roll under system, and I added skills to it. And I thought, you know what, that was a lot of fun. I spent a long time, like 3 months maybe, for me, that was a long time, developing that. What other games out there are made for hacking? So, hopped on the old interwebs, and that's what we're going to talk about. Different games that are made for hacking. Tools, toolkits that are designed to help people design their own games. I thought that was super cool. Okay, not going to go in depth into a lot of these, just a brief overview, and then you're welcome to go in and explore and check them out, but give you the overview. So here we go. Lasers and Feelings. The theme of this is Star Trek. I don't know how you distinguish the difference between Star Wars and Star Trek. Like for fantasy, it's high fantasy, dark fantasy, grim dark. And so I would label this as high sci-fi, as opposed to Mothership, which is survival horror sci-fi. Okay. Lasers and Feelings. You are the crew of the interstellar scout ship Raptor. Your mission is to explore uncharted regions of space, deal with aliens both friendly and deadly, and defend the consortium worlds against space dangers. Captain Darcy has been overcome by the strange psychic entity known as something else, leaving you to fend for yourself while he recovers in a medical pod. Yo, you tell that to your players, and it is frick yeah. Frick yeah. Alright, the captain is down. Someone new's in charge. We gotta defend the consortium. So, here we go. How does this work? Players create characters. Choose style for your character. Alien, android, dangerous, heroic, hotshot, intrepid, or savvy. Choose your role. Doctor, envoy, engineer, explorer, pilot, scientist, or soldier. Some of those, okay, well, what does it mean to be an android? Well, we'll get into it. Pretty much, it's up to you. It's very narrative driven. which when I came across this 2 years ago, it was just too abstract for me. I was like, where are the rules? I play D&D, like, I can move 25 feet or 30 feet. Moving on. Here's the base mechanic. It's kind of what Lasers and Feelings is known for. Choose your number from 2 to 5. A high number means you're better at lasers. Technology, science, cold rationality, calm, precise action. Right? I like to think of it as you're laser focused. Locked in. Serious. Let's go. We got to do it now. Then there's feelings, intuition, diplomacy, seduction, wild, passionate action. Right? Oh, you know what? I feel like we're lost, and it just doesn't really seem right. Got that gut instinct, right? You pick the number. You pick your stat, 2 to 5. Rolling the dice. When you want to do something risky, roll 1d6 to find how it goes. Roll plus 1d if you're prepared, and plus 1d if you're an expert. The GM tells you how many dice to roll based on your character and the situation. Roll your dice and compare each die result to your number. Arrow pointing down. If you're using lasers, science and reasoning, laser focused, you want to roll under your number. Up arrow. If you're using feelings, rapport, passion, gut instinct, you want to roll over your number. If none of your dice succeed, it goes wrong. The GM says how things get worse somehow. If one dice succeeds, you barely manage it. The GM inflicts a complication, harm, or cost. If 2 dice succeed, you do well. Good job. If 3 dice succeed, you get a critical success. The GM tells you some extra effect you get. If you roll your number exactly, you have laser feelings. You get a special insight into what's going on. Ask the GM a question and they'll answer you honestly. Okay, so let me break this down for you. The author, which I forgot to mention, John Harper. John Harper has another game called World of Dungeons. And maybe someday we'll check this out. But it is like the most rules light D&D version I've ever seen. And it's so awesome. It scratches my itch for like design and playability. I love it. How the one nag is when you print it off, it's like, what? It's like portrait and landscape? What? Character pages are the first page and the last page? Confusing. Anyways, also famed art author of Blades in the Dark, which if you've watched more than one episode, you've probably heard me say, I hate Blades in the Dark. It's the only book I've ever returned. Bought it, read the rules, said, nope. I don't like that you go backwards in time. I don't like that you do something, and then you say, well, I actually prepared for this exact situation. And maybe that's a gross simplification, because maybe my small monkey brain didn't understand what was going on, but it is what it is. So, this legend in the industry, John Harper, found a way to make a D6 go 2 ways. Maybe you want to roll over, maybe you want to roll under. You pick the number from 2 to 5. A high number means you're better at lasers. Low number means you're better at feelings. That's your character creation right there. I want a 2, 3, 4, or 5. I can't think of a good example, but my brain wants to say like a sliding scale. You know, you change the percentages if you want to be a, what would be the middle? Oh, 2, 3, 4, 5. So right, the middle would be 2.5. So there is no middle, I guess, per se. But get out a calculator and figure out the math. Obviously, if you pick a 5, pretty statistically unlikely. Well, let's see, you'd have to roll exactly, right? So let's actually do it. Let's get my calculator out on my pocket computer. Calculator. 2 divided by 6. 33%. Right? So you got a 66% chance of failing if you pick the extremes. Not likely, but still totally doable. The math checks. You're not really good at it, but it is always possible. And one of them will be a critical. If you pick 5 and you roll a 5, that is big time critical. So that's pretty exciting. That is the player mechanics, and that is a universal thing to grasp to, with the theme of this being hackable. Okay? Let's just go over some things, because I kind of glossed over, like, what does it mean to be an intrepid? So, number 4, give your character a cool space adventure name, like Sparks McGee. Bro, John Harper. What are you doing to me? Love it. You have a Consortium uniform, a super sweet space phone camera communicator scanner thing. Bro. A variable beam phase pistol, set to stun, usually. Player goal. Get your character involved in crazy space adventures and try to make the best of them. Amazing. Character goal. Choose one or create your own. Become captain, meet new aliens, shoot bad guys, find new worlds, solve weird space mysteries, prove yourself, or keep being awesome. You have nothing to prove. Let's see. If you want help, okay. Rules to make a ship. Don't really care about that. The alien android, blah, blah, blah. This is narrative. There are no mechanics for it. Well, I'm an alien, and that means I can breathe underwater. Okay. Sure. GM allows it. Sure. I'm an alien, and I have stone skin. I have adamantium skin, and nothing can hurt me. Okay. You come across a planet with terrible magnetic poles. Well, now your character's metal skin is just ripping you apart. It is up to the GM to balance it. Okay, so player rules, player character creation, amazing. Okay, GM side of the paper. Create a space adventure. Now, when I was making my Mad Lib, which I ended the episode by saying, like, yeah, I love this. This is great. All I got to do is upload it. And then I went and made drastic changes to it. So I got to do a little follow-up on that. And that will probably be in the next Hodgepodge episode. Okay, but here we go. With 1d6, you can have a total, complete adventure. Usually one shot, but you can make it into an adventure. So here we go. Let's just say I rolled 1s the entire time. Zorgon the Conqueror, a threat. Zorgon the Conqueror wants to destroy the Space Pirate Queen, which will destroy a solar system. Okay, we know the bad guy. We know what his mission is. We have to stop that. Otherwise, It will destroy the solar system. In less than 10 seconds, we have an adventure. Okay, let's say I rolled all 4s. A threat. Space pirates want to protect the quantum tunnel, which will fix everything. A space pirate wants to protect the quantum tunnel, which will... Oh, I said a 4. Which will start a war. Yeah, okay, pirates. They're guarding the quantum tunnel. Well, what's the quantum tunnel? Huh. Intrigue. Check. We got it. 10 seconds. You got an adventure. Now, personally, I think Lasers and Feelings would be great for a episodic style of play where each session is 2 hours, 3 hours with one story. Finish that story, and then, like Star Trek, next episode, new story, new threats, new problems. If I go and search Lasers and Feelings hacks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, for sports, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61. There's so many. This is just one website. Oh my god, look at this. Look how tiny that is. This just keeps going on and on and on. Oh my god. Alright, I did find one. It was Lasers and Felines. Let's see if I can find that real quick. Felines. And let's see if... Oh, yeah. And it's free. Let's see how this hack is different. Laid out very similar. Rolling the dice. Zoomies or Sleepy. Amazing. Choose a character. Kitten, Chunker, Feral, Goofball, Snooty, Spooky, or some other animal posing as a cat. Choose a skill set. Acrobat, Hunter, Escape Artist, Performer, Tech Savvy, Destruction, has thumbs. Interesting. Let's roll an adventure. Let's say I get 2s for each. Living in such snooty suburbs, everything changed when they adopted a dog. We got so distracted by trolling animal control, but found our way back after, inciting a bit of a riot. What? We got a new dog? What? I got nothing. I got nothing to elaborate on that. That is out of my wheelhouse. I don't even like cats. I said it and I meant it. All right. So, let's see. Spider and Man. Even more spiders. Power and Grace. This one's a Google Doc. Let's try Powers and Punches. Character creation. Choose a style for your character. Cool, brutal, do-gooder, mysterious, friendly, insane, sneaky. Choose a power type. Psychic, speed, combat, mutation, strength, technology, or magic. Write down 3 abilities you can do with your powers, or choose 2 types and 1 thing you can do with each power. You can roll over your punches or roll under your powers. Let's make a story. Let's say I rolled all 6s. A threat that tyrant from that country everyone hates wants to produce the aliens, which will be hilarious. All right. No, I didn't say all these hacks are good, but I stopped counting. There's got to be, I'm going to guess, 300 hacks just on this one website, which seems to be like the hub. They have a podcast? Let's check. Podcast episodes. Are you still doing it? You quit in 2021. Let's see, when did you start? 2019. Come on, bro. All right. I'm just kidding. Writing Alchemy, whomever you are. Okay. Hope I set the tone for hacking with lasers and feelings. Okay. My first actual foray into the super hackable world is 2400. Now, I'll admit, I have not gone over these since recording and since downloading them many years ago, but I remember my small, smooth brain when I was just D&D, I was like, why are there no hit points? It's all narrative. That's why we can fit it all in 4 pages. Right? And I think they're not even like full paper sizes. They're like A4 digest size or zine size. All right. Rules. Players describe what their characters do. The game moderator advises when an action is impossible, requires extra steps, demands a cost, or presents an avoidable risk. Players only roll to avoid risks. A theme you're going to hear me talk about is the art. It's like a reoccurring theme for me. It's just amazing. Retro, 80s retro is like the overarching genre, but there's lots out there. All right. Rules. Play. You describe what you want to do. The GM lets you know, yep, you can jump over that fire, that pit of lava, but if you don't make it, you're going to die. Yeah, you can walk across that rope bridge, but if you don't shore it up first, it's not going to be good. All right. Roll a D6 skill die. Higher with a relevant skill, or a D4 if hindered by injury or circumstances. If helped by circumstance, roll an extra D6. If helped by an ally, they roll their skill die and share the risk. Take the highest die. That's a cool mechanic. Kind of like the help action in D&D, but they also take the risk. Now, a good DM for D&D probably says, all right, if you're helping them get across the lava, then you are susceptible to the same penalties, same risks. But I like that it really spells it out. It says, hey, if you try to help and they still fail, you're going to fail with them. Okay. If you roll a 1 or a 2, disaster. Suffer the full risk. GM decides if you succeed at all. If risking your death, you die. What? No saves? No dexterity saving throw? No, oh, I'm a meat bag of hit points? Can't I survive the fall? No. You rolled a 1. You fell. You died. Okay. 3-4. Setback. A lesser consequence or partial success. If risking death, you're maimed. Okay. Broke your leg. If you don't get out of here soon, you're going to die from internal bleeding. All right. You only rolled a 3. Sorry. 5+, success. The higher the roll, the better. I guess if you're rolling more than 1 dice, then you can get really high. Otherwise, you're looking at just a 6. If success, well, I guess not, because it does say higher with relevant skill. So we'll talk about skills. You can get up to a D8, and then you can level up step dice. If success can't get you what you want, you make the shot, but it's bulletproof. You'll at least get useful info or set up an advantage. Okay. Narrative-driven load. Carry as much as makes sense, but more than one bulky item hinders you at times. Advancement. After a job, increase a skill. You go from nothing to a D8 to a D6 to a D12 and gain 1 credit. I believe that is the money system. And I think none is D6. Defense. Say how one of your items breaks to turn a hit into a brief hindrance. Broken gear is useless until repaired. What? I can't have my armor the entire campaign? I know I've been in 40 battles, but I don't need to repair it. It's still good. Alright, harm. Injuries take time and or medical attention to heal. If killed, make a new character to be introduced ASAP. Favor inclusion over realism. Right? Oh, like, we just died to this rogue AI. My character died, so now I play a new character, and he just happens to be a tech guru, and he hacks the rogue AI. Come on, right? Like, that's not what we're going for here. Okay, running the game. GM advice. Lead the group in setting lines not to cross in play. Fast forward, pause, or rewind or redo scenes for pacing and safety. Which, alright, I get the safety, right? There are some topics that are, some topics that are off topic or taboo or, it's not for me, I guess. So I guess you gotta have it, right? You can use your imagination on what I'm thinking. Present dilemmas and problems you don't know how to solve. This is actually great advice. Move the spotlight to give everyone time to shine. Test periodically for bad luck. Example, run out of ammo or run into guards. Roll a d6 for check. 1 to 2, trouble now, or 3 to 4, signs of trouble. Offer rulings to cover gaps in rules. Double back during a break to revise unsatisfying rulings as a group. Now, again, when I first read this, it was like, but how far can I walk? 25 feet? Okay, if I fall off a horse, do I go prone? It's like none of that. It's very narrative and like good for anybody, but I think not. I don't think 2400 is good for kids. It's my own personal opinion because it's a little too abstract and you kind of need to be like, no, here's the rules of the game. And once you understand the rules or the principles of play, then we can, start to deviate. Which maybe is counterintuitive because I always say, like, my school D&D table is Link from Zelda, some train from Minecraft, a Griffin character, King Ankle Breaker. Like, yeah, you can do whatever you want. But I think if you're trying to make a more serious tone, I think they should have some more rules, some more structure to the game. You wouldn't just give kids like the Monopoly board and just say like, okay, just roll dice and go around the board. Oh, I landed on Park Place. I just live here now. Did you buy it? No, but my piece is on it. So if anybody else lands on it, like, it's mine. Right? That's just not enough structure for it. Okay. Characters. SRD design notes start with 2 slashes. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Characters start with 6-ish skill increases and or credits in items, possibly combining specialty and origins, or 3 skill increases as a stand-in. Choose your character's specialty. Face, muscle, psychic, medic, sneak, tech. And they give you examples that you can roll a d8 in. Choose your character's origin. Alien, which, unlike Lasers and Feelings, has a mechanic to it. You can be an alien, and because you're an alien and we don't know what aliens can do, you get to invent 2 traits, like electric current wings, natural camouflage, or six-limbed? Be creative. Android, you have an upgrade-ready cyber body. Take synth skin to look human, or a case. Break harmlessly for defense. I don't know what that would be. A case? Break harmlessly for defense? Is that like armored skin? Interesting. Human, apply 3 skill increases from no skill, D8, D10, D12. You can take new skills and or increase skills you already have. Great. Choose or invent skills, and they give you a bunch here. All right. That is the core mechanics. Here it gives you a list of gear, comms, tools, weapons, names to name your character, their demeanor, how to roleplay, and then more GM advice, adding rules, finding jobs, the Creative Commons license, and here is your Lasers and Feelings version of creating an adventure. Roll a d20 for contact, client, rival, or target. And I rolled on a 7, let's say. Carry out cocky courier with fast cyber legs. All right, you're on a mission to find this guy, this cocky courier, and he's super fast with his legs. He'll be carrying I don't know what a carry out is, I'm making it up. He's got something he's carrying, and you got to find him. He's fast. So maybe you get on a mission to get a motorcycle, steal a car, do something to set it up. Have one person steal the motorcycle and have another person stalk this courier, find out when the next drop is, maybe intercept the drop. Right? Got 2 3-year ideas right there. Love it. Okay. Now, 24XX. There are a handful of other games that use different number sets, because this is sort of kind of meant to be in the future. But there's 1776, and you play at the dawn of American history. So let's go over some. There is a whole nother rule set, which this art, what am I looking at? I don't know, but it feels like it's out of Stanley Kubrick's sci-fi space movie. Why can't I think of it? I don't know, but I love it. Color scheme, the bleed from the yellow into the red, like a orange haze around it. It looks like a Daft Punk helmet. Love it. Okay. I don't know when this came out, but I'm going to guess people were like, hey, this is a little too rules light. So, all right, he came up with emergency rules. I won't go over these, but a lot of it's the same, but maybe a little more explanation. How defense works. So let me read this. A player can describe how an item breaks to suffer only a momentary hindrance. Roll a 1 to 4 instead of a more serious injury. Items specifically designed for this, like armor, can be broken harmlessly in this way. Other items can also be broken as defense as long as it can be described believably. Narrative-focused game. Right? Well, I've got this heavy battle suit on, and I survive a nuclear attack. Bro. Really? I don't think so. So, being very narrative-focused, but with some structure. Okay. Now, I mentioned before that no hit points for me was like, what? So I'm going to read probably all of this here. Key differences from many role-playing games. And I bet a lot of people had this issue, and this is probably the main reason he created this whole document. No, quote, hit points. One successful roll can eliminate an enemy. One disastrous roll can kill a player's character. This means 2400 can be a, quote, deadly game, or not at all deadly. If the GM never says you're risking death, a bad roll will never kill your character. Not always blow by blow. This is so cool the way to put this. Zoom in or out as needed. The GM may say taking out a tough opponent must be broken into multiple steps. Example, you'll have to create an opening before you can take him down. Or you might be able to handle an entire battle with a single roll. Everyone risks death to, quote, take out the enemies. A 1 to 2 roll could mean an ally dies, while a 3 or 4 could mean injuries or some enemies remain. Succeed on a 1. I should say, quote, succeed on a 1. A bad roll doesn't have to mean failing in action. The risk for hacking an airlock might not be, quote, it doesn't open, but, quote, alarms blare and stuff gets blown into space. I hope the one person that listens to this really appreciates the nuance of what I'm trying to get across here. Game theory and game design is so cool. It doesn't have to be rule for everything D&D. This narrative-based, I've never played it. I'll be honest, I'm a little intimidated to play it. I got a little bit of a taste when I've run Mothership, because that is rules light, so you're just like, yeah, the flamethrower. Yeah, it's got set damage, but, like, the room is on fire now. Because, you were in a small space and you chose to use that weapon. Yeah, that exists in D&D with Fireball. It's written in the rules that it ignites flammable items. But there's just, again, the nuance of it. It's not always blow by blow. It's not, take your turn, hit, block, dodge, hit, block, dodge. I'm in a battle scuffling with this guard, and I try to grab his weapon. Okay? Roll to see if you do. A 3. Okay, you grab his weapon, but he's able to grab it, and it's now pointing at you. There's not a finger on the trigger. That's not... Again, I'm not an expert in D&D, and I'm doing all of this to learn and get better, but to have the freedom to have the narrative angle approach on it, I think can lead to more creativity, more in the moment thought, rather than, let me check the rules. What do the rules say? Okay. Breakout in case of emergency. 2400 is designed to be open to interpretation. But what if you need more? This document is for those, quote, emergency situations where you're not quite sure how to interpret something. To ask questions or make suggestions, post a comment at jasontoshi.itch.io/2400. Okay? Now, if I have it pulled up, let me see. Here's my library. 2400. Okay? This one's maybe my favorite. 2400 alt. That art is great. You can get anything in Alpha Centauri, even a new body. And, this is perfect, actually. Just a different setting for it. But look on the side here. Data loss. Hobbs and Gardens. Resistors. Zot. 2400 Legends. This is the fantasy hack on it. Let's see if I can click on that. Battle Moon. Ooh, what is this? I don't know what it is, but I am obsessed with frogs right now. I want to play whatever that guy from Chrono Trigger is. I want to be a frog person real bad. Okay, so I bought a bundle years ago. I don't know if it says when I bought it. 21. Here we go. September 20th of 21. Code Breakers is a hacking one. Cosmic Highway, you're a space trucker. There's the emergency rules. Inner City System Blues. This is a cyberpunk setting. Super cool names. Orbital Decay. That was cool. I think I have a dinosaur one. I don't even remember what these all do, but this was in some bundle that I bought, and I clearly need to go and update more and get more. Legends is a super slim, self-contained RPG about warriors, mages, clerics, and rogues questing in a medieval fantasy world. I should probably buy this. I'll leave this up because fantasy's my go-to, so I want to see their spin on it. What was this one? Oh yeah, Junior Hybrid Battle Cryptids. Oh, they're like teenagers. That's not quite what I was going for. Oh, Mouse Ritter. I gotta do an episode on you too. Okay, tangent 24. Totally hackable because it's so narrative based. Like, okay, here it is. Inner System Blues. This is the cyberpunk one. It's so hackable. You are just changing the classes and you're changing the gear, but that's about it. The rules are simple. ChatGPT would totally be your friend in developing this. Earth's a dump. Mars is a wasteland. Venus belongs to the elite. If you can't afford a ticket out of system, you gotta take gigs to survive today and maybe fight for a better tomorrow. Love it. So, let me see if I can do a search. 2400 hacks. 2400 jam. 65 entries. So, let's see. How do I find view 65 entries? Here we go. 65. There's that 1700s one. I think there's more than just that too. 65 hacks. Some of these are free. Looks like most of them are a couple bucks. But again, the player base found a love, a desire, an interest in the 2400 rules. And what was this called? 2400 jam. So there was some, I don't know if there was a prize money or just like Zine Quest, just an event, and people started making stuff for it. So I've never run it, but I love the narrative focus on it. I think that's super cool. So Jason Tochi, you rock. Okay, moving along. Next one. Let's see. Caltrop Core, which I don't know if it's got to be in my mess of tabs here. Let's go. Let me just re-download it. Okay. Nope. And 1.2. All right. Probably time-wise get into this less. And actually the next couple will be less and less probably. Caltrop Core. Now this one, let's see. What was the first one we talked about? Lasers and Feelings. They basically say, hey, take this and hack it. 2400, take this and hack it. Okay. Caltrop Core is, let me teach you how to make your own game. Game theory. And they give you a core basis for it. And they say, if you like it, use it. If you don't like it, tweak it. So, an introductory game design system reference document by Titan O'Mackey RPG. 2023 came out with a new version. I don't know when the original one came out. Lex Kim Babro. If you're new to game design, welcome. We're on this journey together. The core mechanic fits on a single page, but you'll be adding some tips and tricks throughout to help you along making your first game. Super great advice. Okay, Caltrop Core. Here we go. Caltrop is a D4. Get that out of the way. Here's the core of the system using D4s. It all fits on one page, so keep this handy while designing for it. For a stat-driven game, simply assign a number between 1 and 3 to each stat. When that stat comes into play, roll that many D4s. Take the highest roll. For a token-based game, players can gain and expend tokens, rolling as many D4s as tokens they expend. Take the highest roll. Tip: only roll dice when the action can be phrased as, I want to. Okay. Now, I read this just the other day, and I kind of just glossed over the token-based because I've never heard of that before, and it's not something that excites me, but I don't know when you earn tokens. So maybe on a second read-through, I can go over this, but here's the basic mechanic. Roll 1. Absolute failure. You don't get what you want, and things get a lot worse. Okay, critical fail. 2, partial failure. You don't get what you want. And I like that they have here, new to version 1.2, partial failure. You don't get what you want, but you gain a benefit. So this is, you just don't get what you want. It just doesn't happen, but it doesn't get worse. Here they say, well, you don't get what you want, but you get like halfway there. Whoa, living on a prayer. 3, partial success. You get what you want, but things get complicated. That one I would say like, I should succeed, but I don't get a bonus. Number 4 says, absolute success. You get what you want and more. Okay? So those are the mechanics. How can we apply that to my own game? Let's continue. Token-based games allow players to accumulate tokens in roleplay and spend them to influence the story in some way. Generally works well for narrative, roleplay-focused games. Not as easily for combat simulation. My game Nighthawks is an example of a token-based game I built on Caltrop Core, which I think is paid, and I don't think I have it yet, $8. As of right now, don't really have a need for a genre like this. But, funny how it all ties together. Just talking about 2400 made me think like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, sure. If it is narrative-based, and if you are able to advance the story, do something cool, sure, give a token. And then those tokens can be used when you actually need them. If there's maybe a life or death situation. Or maybe not life or death, but a risk. So, pretty cool. I like how that ties together. My brain is still struggling because I've never done that. I don't know. I'd love to see it in action. But there we go. Stat driven is what me personally is I'm familiar with, and like here it says it's like D&D. Okay, roll a dice, get a number. Oh, let me back it up. I should also say, take the highest number. That's this one. Take the highest roll. I would have loved to have had a couple more examples, like take the highest one or add them together. Give me the sum. The more dice you roll, let's see, we got the highest. We got to add them together. Now we're getting real fancy, like pairs of dice. All right, I don't want to go down that train. That's like my Yahtzee theme game. Go check it out. TTRPG. Roll 'em and score 'em, I think it's called. Okay, demo build. So they walk you through how to build a game, and here are some stats. Body, mind, soul. Basic. Roll to resolve risky physical actions, mental actions, and soul is roll to resolve precarious emotional actions. So in like Mothership, that can be stress. That's the stress mechanic. I like that a lot. Start out with a 1 in each stat and cannot go above 3. This number represents how many d4s you roll for each stat. This probability table we'll go over. Super valuable. Choose an upbringing. This overlaps with the idea of traditional fantasy races, but applies to any increased attribute as a result from where you're from. Add 1 to a stat of your choice relating to your upbringing. So if these are our basis, like, hey, I live in a culture that values intelligence. Okay, this one starts out as 1d4. Soul starts out as 1d4. Mind abilities, 2d4. Health. You don't need to track health unless you want to. In fantasy RPGs, hit points are a common way to create stakes. Since we'll have a lot of D4s handy, we can build a system around that die. Everyone has 4 health to start. Use a D4 to track it, adjusting it when you take damage. So you have a 4, you get hit, subtract 1. Decide what happens when you take damage at 1 health, as well as how characters die, if at all. I was reading some role-playing game, maybe it was Mouse Ritter, I can't remember, and they were talking about all damage does 1 dice. I was like, that's pretty lame. Mouse Ritter, I think it couldn't be Mouse Ritter. Attacks always hit, but they have armor that reduces damage, so maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Alright, how combat works. If you roll a d4 for your attack, and you roll a 1 on the d1 with a d4, take 2 damage as the opponent counters your attack. I like that. Play with the damage table at your game's needs. The above reflects the Caltrop core degree of success, but something like this could be more suitable for a traditional fantasy adventure game, and it's more or less the same. If you roll a 1 on your attack dice, you take 1 damage as the opponent counters your attack. 2, you do not hit, and you are in the same position as before. 3, you deal 1 damage. 4, you deal 2 damage. Now, this made me think, I gotta find some system out there with degrees of success for your attack roll. And you either miss or you hit, and depending on how high you roll on your hit, that's how much damage you deal. And I love that. I love that it's 1 less dice roll. It speeds it up, which for some reason reminds me I forgot to go talk about this way in the beginning, talking about step dice and how I'm resisting the urge, but I probably should buy Savage Worlds, because my understanding is that is the best step dice system out there. Dungeon Crawl Classics, I know has that too, but that personally doesn't interest me. Okay, so you've got your base mechanic, we've got a upbringing, talk about how combat works. Now, do you want to have classes? Classes can give you advantages, can give you more things to interact with. So let's just read 2 of these. The Warrior. Your body increases by 1. Tough. Any damage you take is reduced by 1. So with this Caltrop, they say you don't really want to go over 3. And it's just a play style, I guess. But the way you set it up, you could have 1 as your base for strength. Your upbringing boosts it to 2. And then you're a warrior, so your body is... Let's see, what was it? Yeah, body. Now your body's already maxed at 3. You're starting the game already maxed out. Not sure how I feel about that. However, I do like classes that give you just an innate non-dice rolling ability. All right, because your body is so tough, all damage is reduced by 1. All right, just give me the flat ability. Let's read Cleric. Same thing, your soul increases by 1, so you could be max statted right as the game starts. But they have an ability, Cure. Roll your body and your soul. Restore an amount of health equal to the number of 4s you rolled to an ally you can see. Ew. I would reword that. The number of 4s? Like, exactly 4? You could, like, not really score that high. I guess your body and soul, if it's 2 of them, in theory, you could be rolling 6 dice. But I guess I don't know the odds. Maybe we can go to the table that they mentioned. Okay, how to do leveling. Stat-driven, token-based, more examples, and then that takes us to the appendix. Tips and tricks. I won't read it, but you should check it out if this interests you. And here we go. So the Caltrop core probability. So in theory, you could be rolling 6. I wish they had one more column, but let's go 5d4s. Percentage of rolling a 4 is 76.3. So I guess if you only have 4 hit points in the examples that they gave us, if you're maxed out, I guess a 76% chance of healing. I kind of would like a more for sure thing. Maybe like in multiples of 4. If you can roll 5d4, in theory, you can get up to 20. Unlikely. So let's say 10. You can get like 2 points of healing, 2 to 3-ish. Okay. Okay. Caltrop core. Great step-by-step directions on how to build your own game. Lots of great information. Totally worth checking out. Totally free. Next one. Lumen. 24 pages. And I will say this is a lot. This would be like the big brother to Caltrop core. A lot of similarities. A lot of step directions. Health, resources, powers, combat, rounds. Okay, more in depth, more examples. But let's just look at this mechanic. Lumen uses D6 dice pools with ranges of success as the core mechanic. Every class in the game has 3 attributes, which describe how they attempt things, rather than what they are attempting. We'll discuss more in classes section. Let me read that again because I admit I kind of zoned out. Lumen uses D6 dice pools with ranges of success as the core mechanic. Every class in the game has 3 attributes, which describe how they attempt things, rather than what they are attempting. Describe how they attempt things, rather than what they are attempting. When a character is acting, and there is risk to that action, they roll dice. They roll a pool of d6 equal to the attribute, very much like Caltrop core, that best describes how they are acting and keep the highest result. So this kind of confuses me, but it's probably like, all right, I want to do a strength maneuver to lift this rock. Instead of, I want to lift this rock. And then there might be other games that say, okay, well, lifting specifically is this dice, and pushing is this dice. But maybe it's just very subtle difference. But here we go. You roll a pool of d6s. On a 1 to 2, the action fails and there is a consequence. 3 to 4, the action succeeds, but there's a complication. 5 to 6, the action succeeds with no problems. And I think this, actually I know, this I was reading, and when I said I kind of got like bummed out in game design, and I was like, yeah, what am I doing here? Like a dog chasing his tail, just looking for mechanics just for the sake of looking for mechanics. I mean, right there. What more do you need? D6 dice pool, basic ability, 3 sentences, keep her moving. There's your rules. Right? But let's look at this. Kate is playing as Amp and wants to quickly leap across a catwalk unnoticed, timing it when the guards have their backs turned. It's decided the action is using flow. She has a 3 for flow, so she rolls 3d6, keeping the highest. Kate gets a 4, a success with a consequence. The GM described Kate's frame landing on the catwalk and then noticing the guards are changing shifts. The heavy boots of approaching soldiers echo off the walls. Right? So she did what she needed to do, but it was a little noisy, and troops heard it, and they're coming. Guards came in, and they heard it. All right? Force, flow, and focus. I like this, that they have a non-combat and a combat ability. Three attributes: health, resource, powers. I'm going over the least in Lumen because it's very similar to Caltrop Core. Like I said, this is just the big brother with more detail. They give you more examples of how this can work. It's based on a game called Light. Was it? He says it. He says it often. Check out example character sheets from some other Lumen games to see what powers might look like. Okay, so examples, optional character features, passive powers and perks, alternatives for health, genre specific, how combat works. Okay, I don't need to go over this, but let's go Lumen RPG hacks. Lumen RPGs, a collection. This is definitely not all of them, but this is just a list that this person, Gyla RPGs, last updated a month ago. And so, based on these mechanics, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28. I'm going to get tired counting all of these. All right? Again, it's a basic system. It's D6 dice pool. What more is there to say? But illuminated by Lumen. Illuminated by Lumen. And so the step-by-step process of, hey, here's how you make a game theory, it's great. Read it, and you will take something from it to improve your game. I guarantee it. As that suit guy would say. All right. Even though I didn't go into details on that, it's worth checking out if you are thinking about making your game and you're interested in game theory. All right, I got 2 more to go. This one, Tricube Tales, I bought. Very similar to Lumen. However, it doesn't have the game theory, but I'll tell you, there are Tricube Tale hacks, and I'll search those up. But here's what you need to know. It's super simple. Player roll 1 to 3 dice, D6s, depending on their character archetype, against a difficulty of 4 to 6, depending on the situation, and need to succeed with at least 1 die, very much like Lumen. Perks can reduce the difficulty, while quirks can increase it. The players spend karma on perks and can recover karma from quirks. I have read this 30 times, and it still confuses me when I read it. The base mechanic of rolling dice, got it. But quirks and perks, I struggle. But I'll show you what's super important. The players make all of the rolls. The GM never rolls dice. This is called player facing. They only describe challenges, assign the trait and difficulty, and narrate the outcome. Love it. Not going to go over this example of play. Highly recommend you do. But they give you tons of pre-made characters. So, archetype. Agile cyborg gunslinger. Okay. Perk. Cybernetic arms. Quirk. Arrogant. Let's go to... Sure. Brawny draconian knight. His perk, he has a draconic heritage. Quirk, he's ruthless. You want to play superheroes? Crafty inventor. Think Tony Stark. Perk, high-tech power suit. Quirk, vigilante. Totally Iron Man. Now let me, because my brain just won't let me move on. But let me see if I can find the perks and quirks. I know. Okay, perks. Characters with a relevant perk can ask the GM for insight or clues about one particular situation, receive a temporary benefit, such as special gear or aid from an NPC, overcome obstacles that would generally be impossible for other people, such as using their wings to fly onto a rooftop, and so on. The exact benefits and use of perk are always at the GM's discretion, but a broadly defined perk has a wider scope. Therefore, a more narrowly defined perk, including any perk that is particularly niche for the setting, should have more impact when it comes to play. If a player wants to use their perk to significantly impact the story, they must spend a karma token to do so. Karma can also be spent to reduce the difficulty of a challenge by 1. Make this decision after rolling, and make sure you narrate how the perk gives you an edge. No more than 1 karma may be spent in this way for each challenge. I think this is a cool mechanic. You can use your perk, or your karma, to lower the challenge rating. You've got good karma built up, should be easier. Just, it's like a fate mechanic. Pretty cool. Now my brain is like, how do you get karma? What? Karma. 38 instances of karma. Karma represents luck and providence, while resolve. That's right, resolve was another thing. Karma represents luck and providence, while resolve represents tenacity, spirit, health, and determination. Players begin each session with 3 karma tokens and 3 resolve tokens. They can be recovered during play, but can never exceed the character's starting quota for the session. Alright, now we're getting into the weeds and my brain is hurting because I forget I'm not selling TriCube Tales as an easy game. Maybe you understand it, but nope. Karma and resolve. However, TriCube Tales hacks. Let's see. Okay. I thought I would be able to find more, but maybe I can do it on here. Chrome Shells and Neon Streets. TriCube Tales 1-pager. Let's go and just search TriCube Tales. What comes up here? TriCube Tales 1-page. Sam Hain's Slaughter. Chrome Shells. Metahuman Uprising. Rotten Odds. Welcome to the Drakkenheim. Goblin Horde. Interstellar Troopers. Interstellar Laser Knights. This is like Star Wars. Wardens of the Weird West. Firefighters. What is this? This is not modern day, is it? Yeah, you're an actual firefighter. Okay, amazing. I need to check that out. Was it free? I don't know. Summer Camp Slayers, TriCube Tales Adventure. So the hacking, the purpose of this whole podcast, the hacking is out there. Tons and tons and tons of genres. Look at 50 cents, 50 cents, 50 cents. Where's the firefighter? Go F fire. Take me there. Take me there. 50 cents. Oh, these are all by Zadamar Games, the makers of it. Interesting. 5 stars. Great. Love it. Okay. Lastly, how am I doing on time? I don't know. I'm on a page I don't want you to see. I'm going to try and edit it out from before. Okay. Lastly, this one I know the very least about. But, shout out. Go and check this video out. TTRPG Talk by Hessen's Country. He does a much better job than I'm going to go over over on this, but there are lots of hacks of this, and this is a good, different game that you kind of set up a exploration game. I believe it's influenced by my first episode. Well, I think it mentions it here. Carta. Inspired by The Wretched. Yep. Where you are, so back it up, excited, this happens. This is, there are no dice in this. This is a journaling game, exploration game like my cartograph game, where you are drawing cards. And they give you the mechanics for prompts. Drawing cards. What does it mean when you draw an ace of spades? What does it mean when you draw a three of clubs? And the layout of it is you take a 52 card deck, and I think you take half the cards basically, and you put them in a pile or different piles, and there's like a starting goal and an ending goal, and you hide the ending goal in the piles, and you start with the starting goal. And based on what you're trying to do, if it's like cartograph, okay, well, I want to go to a new destination. I want to go to the woods. I want to go to a new town. All right, you go to explore. All right, you leave, flip over a card. It would be terrible if you get your end card right away, but that would technically be the end of the adventure. But you draw your card, and based on the prompt that you wrote, it is, I went on a journey and I got lost in the woods and found a magical spring. Okay? And then you journal about it, or you just reflect on it, or however you want to play your game. That's the system for it. And so, like cartograph, you can play it. There's two defined main ways to do it. And you can do it where you start with resources, and then if you travel, you spend resources. Maybe it's food. You then maybe get to your destination and you use up your social points. That's, I think, survival mode, they call it. I've got the physical printed out one here. And then there's collect mode, where you are, rather than starting with resources, you start with 0 resources. And while you're traveling, you hope that you hunt and you trap a squirrel and you take its hide, trap a raccoon, take its hide, you catch a deer, food, sell the antlers, and you are collecting items that way. 2 different ways to do it. So I know the least about this. I probably won't ever design anything for this, but who knows? But if this is your jam, if you want to make your own, let's see, how do they say it? I don't think they do here. Build a solo game. Solitary discovery. Here we go. Okay. Explore a classic. Make a dungeon. Fill out a dungeon. Fill out a city. So the more I read it, the more I like it, actually. To me, it just seems kind of like a lot of work, and they do say that, actually, I think in the last page. Yeah, I'll read this. Now what? Let's see, do I have the... Yeah, I'll just show you on here. Okay. Now what? Thank you for your interest in Carta. I have 2 favors to ask of you once your game is finished. First, please charge for your game. Writing all those card prompts was a lot of work, and you deserve to be paid for that work. So that's my initial, a lot of work to do. I'm still on my first Dungeon Master's Guide, taking notes on that slowly but surely. That's a callback from long ago where I was like, yeah, I got a long-term goal to read all the Dungeon Master guides from D&D, and what great hidden gems are in there. I'd rather take a nap. I get tired easy. All right, second for Carta. Please show me your game so I can buy and read it. I'm so curious to see what other people do with these rules. Dude, the RPG community, it is amazing. Who is this guy? This page looks a little goofy. Peach Garden Games from Carta Games. Well, let's click Carta Games. There you go. All these different things made with the Carta system. Super cool. All right. Key takeaways from here. Find something. Maybe it's Lasers and Feelings. Let's go to Lasers and Feelings. I said, let's go to Lasers and Feelings. Well, let's just click a random one. Planets and Dragons. Okay. Of course, it's not one that I would want to show as an example. Star Wars. Lights and Hopes. Please be good. Please be good. Please be good. Please be good. All right, there we go. And maybe you just... No, not good. Ugh. Maybe you want to... Come on. Here we go. Okay. Maybe you want to do... just keep it simple. A fantasy-based theme. Right? You got your own name in mind for bad guys, creatures, problems to solve. Just come up with this chart. 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 30 things. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different categories. 6 in each. ChatGPT would easily generate you something. But take the time. Make it personal to you. If you're invested in it, great, go for it. Slightly more complicated, 2400. Coming up with a list of skills. The rules are already made there for you. If that's your jam, check it out. I cannot recommend, if you're like, I don't know where to start, Caltrop Core. Start here. Not many words on the page. Big words. Simple things to follow. Love it. You want to step it up? Go to Lumen. Check it out. Knave, or I didn't talk about it tonight, but Knave, in there, they say it's totally hackable. Well, let's just do a quick search for that. Knave hacks. Treasures Just Beyond First Edition. Let's see. Can I get lucky? Let's try itch.io Knave hacks. Okay. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, some of these aren't really hacks. A Zelda-like Knave hack. All right, let me click on this. Let me download it. Check it out. Didn't want to do this, but, you know, I'm here now. Starting gear. Dagger Club, Spear, Halberd. This isn't Zelda themed at all. What is... Magic items. Fairy bottle. Monster mask. Winged boots. Maneuver tome. Elemental wand. Eagle feather. Explosive arrows. Mirror shield. Alright, I guess these magic items are Zelda themed, but the rest, not so much. Alright, make your own Knave Zelda hack. Make it better. Alright? And then, lastly, is Carta. Your own solo journaling game. Go for it, check it out. Who knows what else is out there? This is just in my research. Things that I think are pretty cool. Some of the more popular options. And, you know, it's my new closing to the podcast, but stay creative. Do something creative. I should change it to do something creative. You know, I'm a major consumer of content. YouTube, my number one. You know, I'll sit and stare and watch for hours. But there's just something satisfying about making your own. And even if it's just for you, share it with a friend or two. I've published things on DriveThru, and, you know, probably the most downloads I have are, I think my Knave hack has maybe 50. And if one person uses that, I mean, to me, that's just amazing. I improved their game, which gave them a little bit of joy in their otherwise sad, miserable life. Just kidding. Thanks for checking out this episode of Roll Around Find Out. Games that are easily hackable, games that you can take and make your own, games you can take and just be creative with. So try something creative. See you in the next episode. Later.